Now, let's understand the power of generics, or what exactly generics is and how you can use them. And we'll see a couple of examples which will give you a clear understanding on what generics is, right? So, recollecting the definition of generics again, generics are something which store the types in a variable, like, or you can say, as you store data in a variable so that you don't have to refer or know the value at runtime. You can assign it in a variable, and whatever the data comes from the other place, you can just pass it on, right? It means the name can technically hold any type of name, whatever it is, whoever the person is dealing with, right? So when you want to open a profile page of some person, you don't have to write a program to open that particular page person, right? Person's page. You won't write vasu.html, you won't write this markzuckerberg.html or whatever it is. You use the power of variables wherein you can store the name, and based on that name you show the information. So same perspective, generics are something to define the types. So like you have variables to define data, now generics are variables to define types. Okay, first let's see a use case where generics can be of very good help, right? So let's write a function which gives me a random element from an array, right? So a function which gives me random element from array, right? Now this can be used at very times. I mean, we use it a lot, getting random element from an array. Now technically arrays can be number arrays, string arrays, or some person arrays, object of person, or it can be employee array. Now how can you write a function? So first let's see, function get random element of array. This is my function. Okay, so this basically takes an array as an input, and either I can do this. Now to get the random element, we have to use two functions. One is math.floor. So what does this do? Returns the greatest integer less than or equal to its numeric argument. Okay, math.floor. Then so basically it returns the greatest integer less than or equal to. So it's the left hand side of it. So if we pass 0.1, if we pass returns the greatest integer less than or equal to its numeric 1. So math.floor of 0, or it returns 0, and math.floor of 0.1 greatest integer, it returns the greatest integer, so it returns 1. So in this cases, so it's the right hand side of the decimal. Math.floor is useful, and there is another function called as math.random. So on the library math, so returns a pseudo random number between 0 and 1. Okay, now it returns some value between 0 and 1, right? Now what I am doing is, get constant random index is equal to math.floor, okay, math.random. First I am getting some element between 0, 1, and then I am multiplying it with array.length, right? So here what it does, array.length, it can be 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 into 0.1 or 0.3 gives me another value between 0 and 1, right? Anything which you multiply between, like the 0.5 into 2 gives me 1, and 0. Between 3 gives me 1.5, right? So anything of this sort, right? So but always the value will be, like if I see here 4, 4 5s are 2, 22, that this will be 2. So this multiplication value will be always less than array.length and it will be greater than 0. So when I do this, math.random gives me an array and gives me a number which is in between 0 and array.length. Perfect. So by this, I'll round it down. So the element can be anywhere between 0 and 1 and it will be a integer like 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Right? Now to return the random element, I just have to do get random element or array of random index return. So now what this function is doing, basically get random element of array. So it is finding some random index and it is returning me some random element, right? Now, but this is typed for only numbers, right? So it is basically get random element of array of numbers. Now the same thing I have to define for strings. Same thing I have to define for person objects. It's just that the type is going to be different over here. What it is going to return and what it is going to person type. Let me put it as person type divo1. So now how many number of functions I should define so that I can get a random element? So I will have hundreds of types in my application, right? Now, how can I know, or is it what I have to do that every time I define a function, I have to do this, the same logic repeatedly? And if you ask me again, this logic looks only one line, but there can be functions which can be hundreds of lines. So you cannot repeat the same logic again and again. Literally, I am doing the same thing again and again just because this function has to support different types. That's where your power of generic comes in. So what is generic? So first thing, generic can be something like this. Identity. It takes angular bracket, the syntax of writing generic. Okay, it takes angular bracket, right? And inside this, I put t or type or any variable, basically anything. I can do anything, t, comma, k. There is no binding to it. Argument, type, and type. Now what this is doing is, this function is nothing. It is just taking the argument and is returning. But what this function is, why is it so special, is that the identity of this function can be totally type independent. Okay, you can say me, you can ask me, hey, if I don't want to do all of these things again and again, right? I can simply say get random element in array, and I would simply say array is of type any array, and it's going to return me any, right? It's a perfectly valid, right? Why worry about types? But I would argue that this is not TypeScript. So if you recollect, as I already mentioned, if you are using any, it means you are not using TypeScript. So any means that it doesn't really care about any types, and it means you don't get any compilation errors, you won't get any compile time errors. And what's the point of installing TypeScript, installing all of those tsconfig and all of these things and using any? So you are losing the power of TypeScript. So this is kind of generic. You can define a function like this, and this is going to work for person type, string type, or anything. But basically this is not TypeScript because it is the type of this is a any, right? So to avoid this, we use the generic. So as we are talking about generic, so a generic basically takes another extra argument or parameter of which it's a type. So now type is also passed as an argument, right? Now what it is, right? Constant string is equal to identity of string and Vasudev. Now string is of type string. Name, okay, name name of person, whatever it is. Name of person is of type string. Now I can use another function, name age of person is equal to, the same function can now be used to return a type or number. So see here, the identity function, first it took parameter string. Now since we have bounded the identity with parameter string, it means the argument is also of type string because this acts as a variable. Now the type is being stored as string and argument is of type string, string, and return type is also of string, right? Now if I store constant data is equal to identity of person type, right? It means now I have to send a person over here, a person object here, and until I send person object, this acts as a type bound, or it guards me saying you are not sending the correct function to this. So this is what generic is. Generic is asking us the type and it will bind that type inside the function or whatever class or anything. It can be used on anywhere. It can be used on interfaces, it can be used on classes, it can be used on methods, it can be used on types. One type can extend another type, one type can be generic of another type, all of this. So if I just simply write it down, generics can be used everywhere, right? On types, on interfaces, on methods or functions, on classes and whatnot. So based on this, when you pass a type, that whoever or whatever as defined as generic, it will bind itself to that particular type. Now let's write one small, or let's write this function to accept any type of parameters, right? So simply function get random element in array. Now this I am writing a function which maintains the type, which bounds or which guards the type, and also a generic, right? So here array, I will make this function a generic function by putting it in angular brackets, and I am going to say type, and the argument will be of type array, and the return type is going to be of type. Now I simply copy paste this logic and I no longer need this. Now get random element in array can literally act upon any type of data. So let's say constant number data is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and oh shit, there is one typo, yeah, and I have constant name data is equal to Iron Man, Spider-Man. So basically this is holding string kind of data, and Thor and Captain America, right? And then I have person type of data. Person type data is equal to, it contains array of objects, right? What does it? I'll remove this. Yes, right. So let me short it down. Name is going to be Iron Man, or let's go with DC Heroes this time. Flash and male true, and another object name Superman and male true, and another object name Wonder Woman and male false. So now to find out any random element from any of these data, I simply have to do constant random value is equal to get random element in array. First I have to define what type I am going to use on this function. So first I'll say number, right? Now this cannot take the other two, name data or person data. If I try to send name data, it will show me an error saying string array is not assignable to parameter number, because automatically my generic function definition says that if this type is going to be number, then my argument is going to be of type number array, and the return type is going to be of type number. So here I have to send number data. So it means now my type is guarded, whereas when you write any, it doesn't even care what you are sending. So any is kind of no TypeScript at all. And now the return type of this random value is going to be a number. Same way, random number. Now the same way, constant random name is equal to get random element in array. Now I am going to pass string. So I have to say Vasudev. Now I have to pass string of array of strings, right? Name data. And the same way this is becoming now string, and constant random person is equal to get random element in array, and here I have to send person type, and my data should be person type data, right? So here it is saying cannot random person. Where is random person? Okay, random person, let me make it capital. Yes. Now if I execute this code, and let me console.log random number, random name, random person. So when I execute this code, ts node generics.ts, first it's giving me some error. Let me remove this, whoever are giving error, and clear again ts node generics.ts. So see, first it gave me 4, so it means the random number inside this was 4, and then it gave me Spider-Man 2, or we can console.log here what is the random number, random index, console.log random index, selected random index. Right, and here I can make it a bit more cleaner, number and name, and here person, right? So now if you see, in case of number, the random index selected was 0, and hence random number should be 1 and number should be 1. And in case of random name, the selected index was 2, so random integers are being generated, and selected name was Thor. Same way, random index was selected too, so Wonder Woman. So this is one simple or pretty straightforward example of generics, and now you can understand the power of generics. And when you think about reusability, Generics are the first one which come into my mind, and I always try to think everything in generics so that I don't have to define anything, or I don't have to do repeatedly something. Right now, the same way, the generics can be used on classes as well. So let me give you another example. Right, so we have different types of classes. For example, uh, same laptop, class laptop, and it has some properties. Class TV, it has some properties. And class speakers, it has some properties. Right, so my website is selling all of these data, right, or I can say monitor. Right, so now this laptop has a RAM defined for it, RAM number, and then I have name of the laptop. Again, it says string, and then I have some more specifications like space, number, type, memory type. It is a enum value which I'll declare, enum, memory type. This is going to be SSD or HDD, right? Similarly, this is going to be of type memory type. Right, now the same thing, TV, screen size, number, brand, string, name or model, whatever, different string, and memory, number. And let me add the same things over here. Right, screen size, brand, model. Let me remove this. Now I have to send different types of data. To my front end. So when it asks me, give me all laptops, or give me all TVs, or give me all monitors. So basically I have to send collection of all laptops data, collection of all TVs data, collection of all monitor data. So response, I have another class called as response handler, and basically this does nothing. It says get one element or find one. Right, find one can be one function, and second function can be find all. Now instead of find, let me add get one. So get all. So this response handler, basically if you are seeing list of products, this response handler should return based on the user input, laptops or TVs or monitor. If the user wants to search for laptops, he will be sending laptops or TVs or monitor. Now this response handler can be generic, right? Because I cannot write a function like this, because see, response handler returns the data in certain format. A return code 200 and status, or just saying success as true, and response or data as the data, whatever data which we have to send. If it is laptop, it is array of laptops. If it is TVs, it should send array of TVs. And now a message, right? So this is the work of response handler, to send data in this format if it is a success, and if it is a failure, it will send 500 error, which is 500 internal server error. So some error code which says it is false and success is false and data should be null, right? So the response handler work is basically whatever data we give to it, it should return to the server, right? Now, how will you think of it, this use case, right? So see, either I'll have class laptop response handler, and my find one function will return me. I have to define a type, laptop response laptop response or single laptop response, right? So here it says code is number and message is string and data is of type laptop and data is of type and success is of type boolean. Right now find one returns this, so I have to technically return this data code 200 and message some string successfully fetched laptop details, right? And data is new laptop and success is true, right? Let me add a constructor over here. Spelling is wrong. I don't need, so I'm not worrying about constructor right now. I'm just concerned about the return type or the response handler. So in this case also, when you want to write this type of response handler, it means you have to write all of these for each and everything. Now this is find one, and there can be find many or find all or anything. There in that case it will be returning laptop array. So let me do that quickly. Many laptop response. Many laptop response. Instead of returning single laptop, now it is returning me multiple, and find all basically returns many laptop response, right? So just think, for a small example itself, we have to write this much amount of code. So now you have Amazon has multiple products. So can they be writing, do you think they will be writing all of these response handlers again and again with maintaining the type? No, right? Definitely they will do something, because reusability is lost here. Though every time only this type is being changed, and based on just a type, you can't write the code or you can't repeat the code again and again, right? Now let me convert this. Let me convert this into a generic one which can return anything. Okay. So first thing, my type single response will now take a type parameter. Okay. And now it will return a type, right? And in my many response, I will take another type parameter, that is type, and it will return array of types. So see, how am I using generics in types, right? So the same way I used for my random element in array, where I mentioned an angular bracket, same way I am defining it for type. So basically generics can be used on any type, interfaces, methods or functions or classes. So we have seen how we can use it on types. Now how you can use it on response handler class, right? So response handler class. Now I am mentioning another type over here, and this type is going to deal with this type because these two are binded. And the same way many laptop response is now changed to this. So now instead of this, instead of doing this, now I can literally send data. When I have to create the data, it is runtime, but the type is now achieved. Now the type is achieved. When you are sending the data, when you initialize it, then it's going to be good, right? So that's it. So single response type is now generic, and many response type is also generic. So you can use this class response handler for any type of types. You can return TVs, monitor. You don't have to worry at all. So when you are creating a new class, when you are creating a new class of response handler, what you have to do is new response handler, and here you will mention it as laptop and laptop. And now this type is binded to the, what I would say, this type would now be binded to laptop. And when in case of arrays, you can monitor, you can do it monitor, or you can do TVs or anything. So this is the power of generics in case of class handlers, right? So I'll explain one more last example which will kind of improve your understanding on generics. That example is going to be write a function which concat. Okay, so you are implementing a function concat. What it does is basically it takes an array and it takes an element, it takes two array elements, and it merges them. It can be an object, it can be an array, it can be literally anything, right? So I'm concatenating two objects over here. So target is going to be of type object, and source is going to be of type object, right? We learned about it, and it is going to return an object. Similarly, it can be an array, any array or number array or whatever it is. So what you do basically, you write a general function concat, and it can be of type this, and the arguments should be of type both type. Arg is of type array, right? And arg2 is of type array, and you just do arg return arg.concat of arg2. That's it. And now the return type is going to be type 2. So like this, you can pick multiple examples and keep doing on the generics, more on generics, and that will be really good. So we'll see about one more generic example, like keys in objects you can find, or you can do that on the filters. You can write a generic function which gives me filters, right? We'll see about that in the next videos, how you can write, or you can get more useful or get handy on the generics part, right? Great.